Good afternoon, students. I hope all are staying home and healthy as well. Today, I am going to talk to you about the system of our body, that is transportation system. That is very important for all of us, as you know. Till now, you know about the important processes in our body like digestion or nutrition and respiration. In nutrition, we read about the way the food we take is digested and absorbed in our body. After that, respiration process breaks down the glucose and releases energy. Now we shall discuss about the most important system of our body that transports oxygen, water, minerals and other compounds throughout the body, and that is transportation system. We learned in class 9 that blood is the fluid connective tissue that connects all the parts of the body. That blood has two basic parts: plasma, that is fluid medium, and blood cells, that includes RBC, WBC and platelets. Plasma fluid medium that transports carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in dissolved form, whereas these blood cells have different functions to perform. Like RBC carries oxygen, WBC is our soldier cells that protects us from microbes, and platelets that perform the function of repair. As the blood transports every substance in our body, it works with the help of other organs as well. That together forms transportation system that includes heart, blood and blood vessels. Heart, that pumping organ; blood, that fluid connective tissue that includes RBC, WBC and platelets; and blood vessels that comprises of arteries, veins and capillaries. Now let's talk about the heart, that is a muscular organ as big as our fist, having 4 chambers that everybody knows. It has 2 upper chambers and 2 lower chambers. Fine. Upper chambers are called auricle or atrium and lower chambers are called ventricle. As it has 4 parts, so half is considered as left and half is considered as right. So the upper 2 chambers, left side, it is called left auricle, that receives pure blood from lungs, that is also called O2 rich blood, and right auricle that receives impure blood from parts of the body, that is called CO2 rich blood. Fine. Now we have left ventricle that collects pure blood from left auricle, and right ventricle that collects impure blood from right auricle. Now the blood that comes from lungs, it comes through pulmonary vein, and in right ventricles that blood is carried to the lungs, that is through pulmonary arteries, that is impure blood or CO2 rich blood. Now let's talk about the circulation of blood in the heart. First, the blood is received by left auricle through the process of relaxation. In relaxed condition, it receives blood or O2 rich blood from lungs through pulmonary vein, then contracts, and then the blood passes to left ventricle, and left ventricle releases and receives blood from auricle. Now then left ventricle also contracts and blood with high pressure passes through aorta and reaches to all the parts of the body through arteries. Now we talk about right auricle that relaxes and receives blood through vena cava from upper and lower parts of the body. It contracts and passes blood to the right lower chamber, that is right ventricle. Fine. From where the right ventricle contracts and pushes and sends blood to lungs through pulmonary arteries. Now let's talk about something important about this circulatory system. Important features of circulatory or transportation system. Number 1, Heart has 4 chambers to receive pure and impure blood separately. Number 2, auricles have thin wall and ventricles have thicker wall to resist the pressure of the blood. Left and right chambers of the heart are separated by a wall called septum, that is to prevent mixing of pure and impure blood. The upper and lower chambers are provided with valves. Right side tricuspid valve and left side bicuspid valve is present. It prevents backflow of blood. Now let's talk about different numbers of chambers in different class of animals. The animals like vertebrates, including birds and mammals, they need more energy for their life process. So they have 4 chambers in their heart to prevent mixing of O2 and CO2 rich blood. In animals that do not have high energy needs and their body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment, such animals have 3 chambered hearts and tolerate some mixing of O2 and CO2 rich blood. Let's talk about fishes. Fishes have only 2 chambers heart and the blood is pumped to the gills, is oxygenated there, and O2 rich blood from the gills directly passes to the body. Thus, during this cycle, blood goes once to the heart, so it is called single circulation. Now let's talk about blood vessels. 3 types of blood vessels are there in our body: arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries carries pure blood or O2 rich blood from heart to all the parts of the body. Arteries are deeper under the skin. Veins carry impure or CO2 rich blood from the body to the heart. Next, capillaries. These emerge due to division of arteries into smaller and smaller vessels to bring the blood in contact with all the individual cells. Now, veins are superficial and can be seen with eyes under the skin. Capillaries, they are 1 cell thick. It means very fine. Let's talk something else about arteries. Arteries have thick wall to resist the pressure of the blood, whereas veins have thin wall as blood flow under low pressure through them. Capillaries, the very thin wall cell helps in exchange of material between the blood and surrounding cell. Arteries have a small lumen. That lumen is called that space inside any tube-like structure. See, this space is called lumen, and this is called the wall, right? So this inner side is small in that arteries because they have thick wall. Fine. Now, and in veins, due to thin wall, their lumen is bigger, obviously. Now, capillary is joined to collect CO2 blood from veins to the cells. Let's talk about blood. Blood is having 2 parts, plasma and blood cells. Blood cells contain RBC, WBC and platelets. Platelets have very special function. They circulate around the body and plug the leakage if happens due to any reason by helping to clot the blood at the point of injury. Now let's talk about one more fluid inside the body, that is lymph. Lymph is also called tissue fluid. This fluid is formed from the amount of plasma, proteins and blood cells that escape into the intercellular spaces in the tissues. It is colorless and contains less proteins. Lymph drains into lymphatic capillaries, that fine tube-like structures, and form large lymph vessels that finally opens into veins to carry the impure blood to the heart. The function: it carries digested and absorbed fat from intestine and drains excess fluid into the blood. Now move to another topic, and that is transportation in plants. Before that, let's discuss with the help of diagram of the heart. Fine. This diagram is everyone you are having in your textbook. See, this is 4-chamber heart. This orange side shows pure blood and blue side shows impure blood. Pure and impure means pure carrying oxygen rich and impure carries CO2 rich. Fine. So this pulmonary artery that is coming from lungs brings that blood to that. It takes impure blood to the lungs, and pulmonary veins, they carry pure blood from the lungs and bring it to left atrium, that relaxes and the blood goes inside and contracts, and blood goes to the left ventricle, and ventricle contracts and pushes the blood with high pressure to aorta, from where through arteries the blood flows into the body. Whereas this pulmonary artery carries impure blood to the lungs. Now from all the parts of the body, from upper parts, upper vena cava, and from lower parts of the body, lower vena cava, receives the blood, impure blood, and brings it to the upper chamber, that is right auricle. From right auricle it is pumped to the right ventricle, from where it is again pushed to the pulmonary artery, from where it passes to the lungs. See, this lower wall is thicker and this upper chamber's wall is very thin. Why? Because it has to resist the pressure of the blood that comes with high pressure to this area or ventricle side. Whereas the same happens with these arteries. Arteries have very high pressure, because from very high pressure it is sent to the body. Right?